Good afternoon. We are here with the After the Fledge crowd, and it's a lively crowd. Hello from Decorah. So we are over by the new N3 nest, and it's been a long time. We figured it's just about time that folks locally and everybody else got to see a little bit more about where the Decorah eagles went, these world famous eagles that so many millions of people have watched over the years. So we're going to do a quick little tour here, and we are going to put a spotting scope. We'll see what happens, but we are not too far from the Decorah Clinic, Gunderson Clinic, and the Walmart parking lot here, and there's a really nice trail here, the Trout Run Trail entrance, and just going to kind of show you guys, pan over here. We might see some bikers in a little bit, but the trail is over there, and the parking lot and entrance is over here. So just going to give you a quick little interview update here as to what we saw here when we did this this morning. So when we came here this morning, just as we were leaving the hatchery, Mom Decorah took off the tree. And that's obviously when the osprey came back, because the osprey won't come and try to fish if an eagle is there. So we left to come over here and do this tour, and as soon as we got here, Mom Decorah was in the tree. So she's playing games and helping us out here. So we'll see what happens this time if we get lucky. But Mom was there, and then all of a sudden DM2 showed up in the dead tree that we'll take a look at a little bit later. And then after DM2 showed up, just as we were packing up and getting ready to leave, the young, probably D37, D38, or D39, two of them showed up and were food begging and running up to the nest, and I'm not sure if they got fed or not, but we'll see. It's hard to tell. We don't have a camera on this nest, so we can't verify some of that stuff unless somebody's actually over here on the trail, either taking photos or watching and giving us their report. We can hear the young, so we might hear young eagles food begging, so we'll kind of wait and see what we find out here. But we're going to take a walk over there, and I'll just take a quick give you a little quick intro here as to what happened. So we got some bikers coming through, and that's pretty normal around here. But basically what happened, just going to give a quick summary as we're walking. We're going to pick up here and start walking with our mobile broadcasting unit here. And forgive me if this is a little bit shaky. I will keep the camera as steady as I can. So right here in front of us you can't see it, but right here is the trail. This part of the trail is going over past Walmart and over towards some farmland, and this part goes over to the boat landing in the park, city park. Right on the other side of these trees here is the Upper Iowa River, and that is why DM2 and Mom are even over here in this area. We believe that they probably have been building on this nest for about 2 years. We always wondered where DM2 took off, and we wondered where he would go. And this was the year, this was 2019 was the year that we think they probably first started building on this nest. And that was the year that we had the black fly problem. And the eaglets fledged, or fell and fledged early, and they went into rehab. So it was an early year. DM2, pretty much, we didn't see a whole lot of him after that. And they always kind of disappeared over the hillside, kind of coming over this area down Trout Run Creek, and Trout Run Creek runs into the Upper Iowa River right over here. So we believe that for like maybe about 2 years now, they've been working on that nest, and we started to see some nest building at N2B in November of 2020, and things were looking good. Unfortunately, we had some delayed construction work that was happening at the hatchery, and you know, we always wonder those limits of how the eagles handle human activity, and Mom is a lot more likely to be able to handle that than DM2 was, and we'll never know. We can't talk eagle talk, so we won't know exactly why they came over here, but they did decide to come over here and spent less time over at N2B in the hatchery, and they raised 3 young here this year, D37, 38, and 39. We know that there's 3. We've got some great camera photographers that have been keeping us up to date, so we're going to head over that way right now, and we can talk a little bit about what happened with the eagles, and we're going to listen to see if we can hear any of them. And watch out for bicyclers too.
Yes.
Also, if you've got open-toed shoes, it's best to stay out of the grass. Yes, the wild parts that are around here, even though it's mowed, there's short stuff in the grass.
So while we're walking here, I guess you know, one thing that we got a biker coming. Move left. This morning we were cheering them on when they came by.
Like the Tour de France. Yeah,
right.
Going on right now.
So this is a dead tree that we'll take a look at, and we're hoping that they basically will come back to N2B. I mean, that's what our hope is. We don't know what. Quite a bit of walking here, so I think I'm going to put this on pause. If you want to just hold that for a second. We will revisit you when we get to the spot. I'm just going to put this on pause. All right, back live again. We just got out to walked out the trail, and we got to the corner here. If we look forward, we can see well, some dead trees in the distance. Right in the center of where I have this screen right now is the nest tree, and we've got a spotting scope. I'm going to be real quiet here. We've got 2 fledglings, one in the nest and one in the dead tree.
It's an adult in the dead tree.
Okay, an adult in the dead tree. So we'll be quiet. Heard a little food begging cry there from one of the young. So as I mentioned before, right when we got out here on our tour this morning, both Mom and DM2 came, and then some of the young had found them and were looking for food. So just you know, we're on the trail. We kept walking, and down this way is the dog park, the city dog park along the trail. We've got somebody coming along here. So a little bit more about the story here. Let's talk about the eagles. I think where we left off before, we talked about how eagles set up shop over here in this nest, and we thought that they were taking about maybe 2 years to build on this thing. We knew that they were someplace, and Sue and Benny Bruling alerted us that they had been watching this nest over here, and it looked like it was active, so we started spending some more time looking at it, and sure enough, what we've been doing in November, December, and January was basically coming out here and watching to see when the eagles would show up, and then verifying with the camera and other people over at the hatchery whether or not they were actually at two places at one time or not. So by just deduction and absence and presence between both sites, we pretty much verified when we could see them on camera over at the hatchery that, and identify them when they would leave. We would see them show up over here, and they were flying off over into this direction. So we did verify that they are indeed Mom Decorah and DM2, and so that's where that part of the story ended. And basically we've been documenting this nest. We've got some walkers here if you guys want to make some room, and we might have bikers too, so we'll make room. So I'll just mention here that we've got a spotting scope set up here with a tripod, and that's basically how we've been monitoring. Some folks have been using their own cameras with good telephoto lenses, but you can get a pretty good shot of the eagles. I might try to see if there's any chance that we can digiscope with this webcam. I don't know how that will work, but we've been doing a little bit of that. But we are on public property here. I just want to mention to people and remind people that the nest is on private property, and the access to these nests and to do what we do, it all depends on relationships with property owners and you know what happens there. So always be respectful of property owners and don't trespass. Like I said, we're on public property here right now, and we can see a portion of the nest and a little bit into the lives of the eagles right now when they're not at the hatchery. So we've been keeping up. We know that 3 eaglets were probably three eggs were laid, and that was pretty much what Mom Decorah, that's been her norm. And then they did hatch, all 3. So we've had confirmation from videos and photographs from everyone that 3 eaglets did hatch from the nest. So that's where we get D37, D38, and D39. And now we see 3 eagles at any one time, up to 3 eagles. So it looks like they've all fledged. They've been out of the nest tree, and they're in the stage now where the parents are leading them further and further from the nest. They're learning how to, well, they've been begging for food for quite some time. That's one of the things that we do, is just listen for eaglets that are looking for food from the parent. And they can get quite aggressive. If you guys have been watching our Decorah North nest, you'll notice that as soon as food is brought to the nest or any place close, or they will chase the parent and they will basically attack them for that food. They do have crops, so they can go quite some time without eating again, but you can tell when they're a little bit hungry. Hangry maybe. Right, and they will fight each other, and you'll see the mantling and all that. So right now we have, I think as we mentioned, we have in the dead tree, it's really pretty hard to see with this. Let's see, who's my person with the remote? Ken, if you can, let's try zooming this in all the way, and you have to point it at the front of the camera. There we go. There we go. So we are looking, actually you can see 2 trees, and then in the center between them there's something that looks like it's sticking up. That's actually the nest in the tree. The quality with the brightness here, there's what looks like a little pinhead sticking up. That is the nest in the tree between 2 other trees, and it's dead, so we're not seeing those branches like we do between the other trees. All we're doing is seeing a little dot there, which is the nest. If we pan over just a little bit into the space between the trees, won't be able to see this detail, but there's a dead tree there that the parents sit in and the young are in. So the Upper Iowa Oxbow is here. It's a beautiful area, lots of waterfowl. We can see, you know, why eagles and other raptors come to this point of the river. We can back out. Thank you, Ken. So let's see if we trained on the nest with the eagles. I'm just going to see if there's any chance that this camera might be able to pick up. This is called digiscoping. And it looks like it might work here, but
Let me hold that thing for you. You can use 2 hands.
I'm good.
Okay.
I thought I saw a tree in there. We tried. If I had the brightness settings, was able to check that. Might be possible to do something like that. Well, we tried. We've got a Regal 100 millimeter scope here with variable, I think it's 27 to 67 zoom on here. So we got a pretty powerful scope just to see that. Well, hey, this was for you guys. Any questions that you guys have about Mom and DM2 and what they're doing or how they got here?
Do they do any banding of these eagles? Or
So banding of the eagles would require us to find a place that they would come to,
okay.
where we could try to trap them
Yeah.
and get a hold of them and band them. In the past, with the young, what's happened is we've trained them at the hatchery to come to the fish. So we train them at the hatchery to come to the fish, and then we've got a noose trap called a Pad M.
Or Pan Am, it kind of depends on who you talk to.
Pad M, and it's got little nooses of fishing line, about 50 pound, and that noose will tighten on their ankles and their toes, and that's how they'll come in. They'll get caught on those, and then we'll run in there. And I think you guys have probably maybe seen the special on Iowa Public Television and other broadcasts that we've had of the trapping process.
So
But
how old would they be when they come to the
typically, we will do that anywhere probably about 3 to 4 weeks after they've fledged.
Oh,
So
okay, pretty soon then.
I think it's been about 3 to 4 weeks after they've fledged. And then we watch them for quite some time
That would
after
be
that
safe.
before they disperse in the fall.
Yeah, they disperse at an average of, I want to say, 75 days after fledge, or 186 days overall. So at least that's the eagles that Brett has studied from Decorah is what we've seen.
So Amy Reese is answering that question there. Thank you, Amy. So as you can see, we're watching some of the fledglings, and one in the nest, and one we could turn the scope and look over at the dead tree and see them. But any other questions about the Decorah eagles? I mean, it's great that we're seeing them at the hatchery. It's great that we're seeing them at the hatchery. We just this morning, everybody reported that Mom and DM2 were in the maple tree, and then they were around until right before 9 o'clock when we came over here. Mom flew over. DM2 must have already been here. When we got here, they were both one in the nest tree and one in the dead tree, and then the young came after our morning visit here. So they're around. This is part of their territory. They're still hanging out in Decorah. They're not usually in the nest this time of year, except for the reason that they're here with young. So just the fact that they show up at N2B once in a while is good. So you guys can do the best you can to get the message to Mom and DM2 that they're supposed to nest in a live tree back at the fish hatchery where all those fish are. It's that real estate saying. It's all about location, location, location. Fish, 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 right? All right. Well, I think that will end our N3 visit broadcast. Thanks for joining us. I think our next broadcast is going to be at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We got River Valley Raptors with their